What's up, poker lovers? Welcome back. Hand of the day for April 24th. This one, I got put to the test on the river with a really big bet, and I wimped out. I folded. And I'm curious if that was the right decision or not. So let's dig in. All right, friends, here's our spot. We are under gun one, pocket aces. Folds to us. We are going to raise. Pretty tight range. Fours and better. Some suited, connected stuff. Suited eights, suited nines. All of our suited aces, about half our suited kings, some offsuit aces as a semi bluff, some offsuit. Well, most broadways. Most broadways are raising, so that's our range. Pretty tight. Pretty careful. What is that? 20% of hands? Yeah, about 20% of hands we're raising. Now the button against our early position raise is supposed to play this pretty snug. You can see their raises come from tens and better, some offsuit aces as a bluff. Classify them as a bluff because if you get four bet, you're probably folding. And then they're calling with most everything else. All right, so pretty tight, but they raise. Another piece of info: our opponent, it's only 44 hands, so it's hard to draw too many conclusions. But they are in there fighting. They play a lot of pots, and they have three bet 16% of the time when they have an opportunity, which is about double what you're supposed to three bet. So they're aggro. At least it appears based on 44 hands, they could be a pretty aggressive player. Hard to draw hard conclusions with 44 hands, but that's their stats. Everyone else folds. Decision point one for us. Do we jam our eights? We could. We could, especially if we think our opponent is three betting too wide. I didn't have enough hands against this opponent at the time, so I elected to call, which is fine. All right, nine of spades, jack of clubs, five of diamonds. I mean, we're not loving life, but we're not hating it either. Our opponent, so we're checking. We always start with a check. Not always. In this scenario, we start with a check. Early position, we raised, got three bet. They have a very strong range when they three bet from the button. When we're only 30 blinds deep, equals check. Opponent bets 20% of the pot. They're betting about 80% of the time, almost a range bet. You can see they're betting all their overpairs. They're betting all their broadways. They are betting, yeah. So there's a lot of bluffs in that range right now. A lot of bluffs. So we're not going anywhere yet. We're calling. I hate being in these spots though, where we just have to call down. We have to play super passive. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. So when this jack hits, it doesn't change anything from our perspective. So one thing that it does change is the likelihood of our opponent having a jack. And I used to screw this up a lot. And I think I've kind of evolved my thinking in terms of scare cards. When the top card on the board pairs, that can look very scary. I think in reality, what it usually does is it reduces the likelihood that our opponent has top pair. It's just really hard to get trips. It's really hard to get top trips. And in this scenario, you got to think about which times he or she has a jack. Like, what are the combinations of hands that they would have three bet pre-flop against a tight range with a jack in it? Maybe ace jack offsuit as a bluff. Maybe. I think they probably just would have called with ace jack suited. But maybe sometimes they're going to raise that. I think, is king jack offsuit in their range as a bluff? I don't know. Maybe some of the time, but not that often. Anyway, that's that was my thought process as I'm going through this hand, right? So I have to check, obviously. I got to continue to play passively because they still do have a lot of monster hands. They have aces, they have kings, they have queens. Um, and like I said, they do have some jacks. So we got to be careful with that. But just something to be thinking about as we progress through the hand. Now they bet really small. This is weird. They bet a little, what is that, 15% of the pot, which is a really bizarre bet. They're doing a ton of betting, but look at what they're betting 25% and up. A lot of all ins, actually. Uh, that small bet doesn't happen all that often. So it's just a weird move. What it does is it makes us have to freaking call again. We can't go anywhere yet with our eights. And then the 10 of diamonds hits. And so we're still in passive check call mode, obviously, which just sucks. If you can avoid it. I mean, I don't know how I would have avoided it in this hand. I guess I could have shoved all in on the flop, or pre-flop, but it's just a sucky place to be. Sometimes you find yourself there. So we check again, and our opponent's probably sitting there going, well, you got a middle-sized pair, right? They do have to worry about us having tens. We could definitely have tens. They have to worry about us having nines, pocket nines. We could have that. We could have pocket fives, although maybe we would have raised at some point in the hand. Maybe not. So they have a lot to think about before they do this, which is shove on us all in. So they're doing this for value with their straights. They're doing it for value with their sets and quad jacks. They're doing it with their trips. They're doing it with overpairs. And their bluffs are ace king, ace queen, and not a lot else. So 12 combinations of ace king. Well, 12 plus 4. 16 combinations of ace king, 4 combinations plus 12. So 32 combinations or bluffs. Ugh. Just brutal. I elected to fold, as I said in the intro. And I am supposed to call this off. And I think eights is my only kind of middling pair that would call this off. Because, like, set of nines, duh. Set of tens, duh. Quad jacks, duh. Set of fives, duh. Easy calls, right? River to straight calling. Tens were calling. So a 10, top two with an 8 kicker, top two pair with an 8 kicker calls. And obviously we call with the straight, the top end of the straight, bottom part of the straight. So I missed this spot. I missed this call. I decided to fold. Use the comments, people. I want to know if you could have found this call. And if you could have, help me with your thought process to find this call. Because I just don't, I don't got it in my game and I need to get it in my game. So I'm going to talk to my coach about this and see if he can kind of simplify my thought process so that in the future I can find this call and hopefully make a little more money. All right, let's stop there. That's your hand of the day. See you next time.